Okay, here we are at the start of turn 8. So we've just gone through 7 turns and the first strategic cycle. So as you can see, Keyes and Heinzelman brought their corps up to the Mattaponi River. Only on the last turn was Couch able to get a major river bridge over to Mattaponi down here kind of near West Point. Heinzelman had been trying to get one off over here, either Coal King Landing or whatever this fort is, or ferry, which is destroyed, I believe. But he failed most of his rolls. It's kind of hard to get across a major river. So Heinzelman hasn't been able to get a bridgehead over here, but Keyes's bridge here threatens to cut off, who is this down here? Wilcox's brigade in West Point from Johnston's main army up here, which is kind of a raid behind the Mattaponi. I was thinking maybe we'd counterattack when they get across. I was thinking Heinzelman would be the first across, but then kind of Erasmus Keyes surprised us all and came in here. I think it'll be easier to kind of line up here and create a defensive line, or maybe actually behind this creek, I think is where we might make our first stand. We have destroyed these ferries up here, so it'll be really hard for Heinzelman to kind of get up here to Piping Tree Ferry and outflank us. The other problem is the Union are supplied in King and Queen County because of their depot in Urbana, but once they get into King William County, they'll be out of supply in the next strategic segment. So they have about 7 turns to destroy both of these forts down here, or are they here at Gloucester Point and Yorktown, because we got to destroy these forts to open up the York River so that we can put a depot somewhere either on the Pamunkey or the Mattaponi River or even the York River, because we need to get a depot basically in King William County in order to keep these guys in supply once they're into this little area, because this depot in Urbana covers Middlesex and King and Queen County, but yeah, it doesn't get all the way over to King William County. So down here we've sent Sykes' brigade of regulars along with the horse artillery to Gloucester Point. There's only one brigade, Crump is in there, and we're going to send our Union gunboats to help them. And then Yorktown, we have Ward's brigade, the siege artillery, and Colston's brigade. And to deal with that, we are sending Casey's division from 4 Corps, as well as our reinforcements that we got this turn. So the 1st New York Mounted Rifles, and then, well, I guess 4 regiments, or regimental equivalents. So they'll be going up the York James Peninsula, and obviously there's not much down here anymore, so they'll be able to kind of get a good surround off on Yorktown, and the Confederates will have to decide if they're going to fight or try to hold out. And basically I think they'll probably just wind up sacrificing those units. It's only a matter of time, really. So might have to retreat while we still can, maybe fight a rear guard. But once we do, the York River will be open to Union navigation and supply. So the Confederates did call in Hughie's division from Norfolk, so he just arrived this turn. We're on game turn 8, so he's way the heck down here. He's going to have to go up through Petersburg and then up through Richmond. And the thing about Petersburg and Richmond is, even though these rail lines look like that you can just go through and keep going, for each turn you can only use one railroad. So if this railroad, this is I think the Norfolk and Petersburg Railroad, so that's what Hughie's going to come into Petersburg on. He has to end his movement there, disembark, and then in another turn, re-embark and take the, which railroad is this? Richmond and Petersburg Railroad up to Richmond. He'd have to disembark there, and then that takes him into this hex. Well, if he wanted to go on the Richmond and York River Railroad, In another turn, he'd have to walk over here, re-embark, and then move up the Richmond York River Railroad to support Johnston. So it's kind of involved. Luckily, we do have the artillery reserve and Kershaw's brigade in Richmond ready to move out. I don't know if we're going to send him down to the York James Peninsula, maybe to Williamsburg, or I don't know, maybe up to help Johnston. So the most interesting kind of decision the Confederacy has, I think, in this next 7 turns or so is what to do with Longstreet and Stewart. So I chose to bring them in here. There's like 4 hexes you can bring them in. I think here, 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 and here, maybe something like that. So obviously you can bring them in here and kind of get them on the rail back down to Richmond. I think we'd have to check how big these. I think Pickett's Demi Division. No, oops. Pickett's Demi Division's pretty big, I think, so he might not be able to get on the railroad. But what I think I'm going to do with him instead is both of them. So I think Stewart's going to come down through here on the north side of Mattaponi River and kind of harass their flank in here, and then pull back into King William County when it's time to check supply. And then Longstreet, I think I'm going to march down to here to maybe this area so that Johnston can reposition his defensive line here. And when Heintzelman crosses, which eventually he'll be able to build a bridge. He'll have Longstreet on his flank, and then maybe Johnston can counterattack these 2 chunky Union corps, or divisions, sorry. So yeah, Johnston has achieved, I think, a pretty good concentration of forces. I don't like his line right now, so we're going to have to reconfigure it. We're also going to have to decide whether we're going to hold West Point with Wilcox or get him on the train maybe back to White House Station, or maybe amphibious move him down onto the south bank of the Pamunkey maybe. There's no fords or bridges on the Pamunkey before Smith's Ferry here. So maybe we take him on the train to here, and then he can get down and destroy Smith's Ferry. I don't know. These are all things that I'm going to have to figure out starting this turn, game turn 8. Okay, so we're at the start of turn 11, April 15th. So Keyes has pushed across with his corps, and Johnston has Gustavus Smith's corps, I guess, or division, with Hood and I think Whiting. Yeah, Hood and Whiting here. There are Demi divisions. And he had a couple of brigades from Magruder over here. He was going to attack Keyes, but then the odds weren't great. But then Keyes decided to attack Johnston, and Keyes lost 3 manpower. Johnston lost 1, and of course they're both fatigued and exhausted. And in better news, the Union, well, not better news, I should say, but the Union attempted an attack with the 5th Maryland, 19th Wisconsin on 3rd Virginia Cavalry, I think, and was repulsed. Casey has enveloped Yorktown. Sickles took Gloucester Point. I don't know why I brought the horse artillery down here. I couldn't do anything without a leader to make them kind of join forces. Did I say Sickles? Sykes. I might have said Sickles. I don't know. And then Yorktown has the siege artillery, Ward and Colston. I think it's 4 or 6 strength or manpower worth units in there. I think it's 6, because 6 times 3 is 18, and it's the same that Casey has in his division. So that's going to be kind of a thorn in the Union side, because we can't get supply up the York River up to here until we take both Yorktown and Gloucester Point. And so what I'm finding is there's almost something that, like, I feel like I'm playing it wrong, because in the next strategic segment, Keyes' corps is going to be out of supply on this side of the Mattaponi River, because The depot that's here in Urbana supplies Middlesex County and King and Queen County, but it doesn't cross the Mattaponi River. So we'll have to build a depot on the Mattaponi or the Pamunkey or the York to supply these counties, King William and King and Queen County. Until then, Keys will be out of supply. So I don't really know what to do about that other than try to take Yorktown, but now we're facing a problem where we have all of our corps commanders up here, nobody down at Yorktown to lead a combined assault on the garrison there. We do have our gunboats, so hopefully they'll be able to bombard the fort and disorder the defenders, and hopefully that'll kind of make the odds a little bit better. And then maybe by the next strategic phase, we will be able to get a depot up here on the Pamunkey or the Mattaponi. So yeah, that's the start of turn 11, and I'll get back with you in a minute. All right, here's the situation at the end of the second strategic cycle, turn 14, which is April the 18th, 1862. So I'm glad you didn't see it because there was some poor generalship over here. So we tried to send Erasmus Keyes down here to take West Point. He failed, and then Wilcox built a bridge over here as an escape route finally. But then he kind of got stranded down here at the supply segment of the strategic phase, and so he's out of supply now. McClellan brought Sumner's corps back across the Mattaponi River and is just holding the bridge, so that he was in supply during the supply segment, and then of course he'll move across it next turn. But yeah, I don't know. As the Union, I don't really know what to do because we don't have any leaders down here, and so we can only attack with one division on Yorktown, which has a boatload of guys in it. We tried taking Norfolk this strategic segment with Franklin's division and then the Department of Virginia brigades. Even though it only had Mahone's brigade there, they failed. But we did get a no Virginia sortie in the strategic role, so nothing happened there. And then in the past couple turns, we also tried using our gunboats to bomb Yorktown, but Yorktown gets a shot first at the gunboats, and they destroyed both gunboats. So you'll see on the turn track they get put 15 turns ahead. So we don't have our gunboats until turns 27 and 28. So that's a long way away. And we are passive this turn, so I really don't know what the Union is going to do. I think we're going to have to get Keyes back over the Mattaponi to get him in supply, and then just hold on to this bridge, maybe push up with Heinzelman's corps further up, push Stewart out of the way, maybe get up to this ford here, Aylitz Ferry, or maybe rebuild this ferry, just keep going west until we find room to outflank them, because if we do come down here, we're just going to run into all these breastworks, and this is Magruder's division and Smith's division, or yeah, I guess it's a division. So yeah, I mean, there's no reason we have to come down this way. You might as well just keep going up the river and go around there. So I think that'll be a good use of a passive posture turn, since we don't want to really attack anything in passive posture. And so yeah, just kind of moving up the Mattaponi, trying to get around the Union defense or the Confederate defenses, and make these stacks kind of irrelevant. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at. I'm gonna cut the video here. I think it's probably been a long one. So thanks for watching. I hope you tune in for the next set of turns. Bye for now.